We've been talking about The Little Mermaid and all the backlash surrounding it for months and months. We saw the mainstream media and Disney do everything they could to protect this movie, to say if you say anything bad about it, you're just a racist. Anyone who gives a bad review, you're just a terrorist if you're review bombing this movie. All of this stuff. Well, reality is now starting to set in that despite all of this talk, despite all of this push from Disney and the mainstream media, the box office numbers are not good. They try to act like it was a massive victory for Memorial Day weekend to have basically the same opening as Aladdin, despite the fact that millions less tickets were actually sold for this thing than Aladdin back in 2019. But now, especially with the overseas numbers, even the mainstream media is being forced to address what we've been talking about for a long time. Little Mermaid swimming against strong tides at overseas box office, leaving break even in question. Now, even though this is an article saying that this movie might have a hard time breaking even, it's still Disney propaganda, to be quite honest with you, because their break even for this is incredibly low and includes this is how crazy this is, Jay. When Disney's leaking all this information to these people in the press to make it seem not as bad as the reality actually is, they tell them that, well, one of the reasons we think the break even so low on this movie is because we project that over its lifetime, The Little Mermaid is going to have $250 million in video sales and in and on home and in demand rentals. That's what they're alleging. That's what's included even in this article for their break even. Oh, by the way, and $100 million that Disney's going to pay itself to have it on streaming. Those are the numbers they have to include to make it seem like this movie might not fail. But the reality is, we finally do have some numbers regarding the production and the marketing. $250 million production, like we said. I guessed, and I told a lot of people this, that it was going to be around the $150 million marketing range, right around where it's at. $140 million global marketing spend. And right now, this movie internationally is tanking. And now we got even worse news today. We have the box office projections for this weekend. Because The Little Mermaid's not making shit internationally, it needs to do really well domestically. And already it looks like it's going to have a massive fall off second weekend, projected for a 61% drop in its second weekend, which will put it behind the pace of Aladdin domestically. If this comes to fruition, if this holds, if these international numbers continue the way they are, this is a total disaster. No matter how much Disney might try to spin it otherwise, even by leaking crazy numbers to the press.
I think it's bizarre that they would add in like DVD sales and streaming digital downloads and all that stuff, saying we'll make money on that. Don't worry, everyone. This movie was exactly what we wanted. These people cannot take an L to save their lives, man. They just do not understand that, hey, okay, we heard you. We'll try better. No, it's none of that. It's like, look what we did, and we're proud of what we did, and we're sorry that people hated it because those are just the bad people, but we're going to continue to make stuff that doesn't make any money because they've got elements coming up right around the corner. That's look like it's going to bomb as well. And Into the Spider-Verse looks like it's going to be probably do extremely well. The Little Mermaid cost a little over $250 million to make.
That's the production budget for this thing, 250, right around there.
And that's not even the advertisement. That's
correct.
Tacked on to that. That is
so like we said,
crazy.
250 production, and the marketing, the first glimpse we've had of the official marketing is $140 million. So that means they've got $390 million just in those things spent on this movie.
Are you talking like loss after loss after loss after loss? Like eventually you think they would be like, they pull a Star Cruiser and say, hey, we're going to stop everything for a little bit and take a tax write-off.
Yeah, and Elemental's coming right down the pipe. We talked about that yesterday, the $200 million budget for that movie too. But this is like when I was telling people, like, I feel like based on what they're spending, that break even's got to be somewhere in the $750 million range for this movie. Now, obviously, is there going to be people in the future that buy DVDs whenever it comes out? Yeah, there will be. Will there be people that rent it on demand? Yeah, there will be. Will Disney pay itself $100 million for the rights to have it out on streaming service to move money around to make it look like it's profitable? Yeah, they probably will. But the idea of using hundreds of millions of dollars in, well, we think that it's going to sell this many DVDs and this many on-demand rentals, while the movie's only been out like fucking 6 days, to try to justify how we know this will break even in the future is crazy.
That
especially
is
when you're projecting
crazy.
like all time, like through the course of its history, like it's going to make this back. Well, they have debts to pay right now. They have loans that they took out to make this thing. They have all this stuff that they have to pay back right now. So it's laughable to try to pretend like that's the case. When you're looking just strictly at these theaters and what it's doing, this is a movie. Like we said in the beginning, $750 million minimum to break even in its theatrical run. And right now, it looks like Little Mermaid will have no chance of hitting anything like that if these projections for its hold continue.